Welcome to Wait What I Miss with Cameron for the week of June 8th, 2020, the only topical show in Bowling Green with half the calories of radio and twice the visuals. On today's show, Tyler Eaton, host of WKU's Beyond the Hill podcast, voice of Warren East Athletics, and numerous other accomplishments that can be easily found on LinkedIn. But in the meantime, for Wait What I Miss with Cameron, it's me. It's Cameron. What's up? Happy Monday. How are you doing? Hopefully off to a good start. I think the world's kind of getting back to a better place, at least coronavirus-wise. I know that, of course, there's really no new openings this week to talk about here in Kentucky. Mostly just the fact that, I guess, New Zealand is open. That's the only real opening I've seen. That doesn't really apply here, but apparently they beat coronavirus, which is very exciting for them. Of course, very small island nation. Always very hard to take over when playing Pandemic there in middle school, which is a lot darker. Now, looking back on that game, maybe shouldn't have been allowed. But it is exciting that New Zealand is back open. But I really think they shut down early just to avoid all of the Lord of the Rings LARPers from coming into the country. I'm sure they get a lot of that. Customs and Immigration has really got to be sick of checking that many swords and staves. So, congratulations to them. Of course, we're kind of getting through it. I know, doing their part to help us get through it. The Warren County Public Library has announced that they are banishing fines from the kingdom, which is good. Kind of a way to do some stress relief. That's something we don't really need to worry about, especially as it comes to checking out books. I feel a lot better because I owed money on a book, How to Steal from the Library and Get Away with It. And boy, the 30 minutes I spent on that book, 100% worth it, as it turns out. Conor McGregor, the famous fighter, UFC, and one-time boxer, has decided he is retiring again, which I guess is big news in the world of sports. He's made enough money, but coming out of retirement to take his place, Rand Paul's neighbor, Rene Boucher, who is just sick and tired of the way Rand Paul is handling this entire lynching debate in Congress. Could be going a little more expediently. To be picking up the pace on that. Maybe Renee is our only hope on that. Though we did get kind of a break here on Earth, which seems kind of rare for 2020. A asteroid passed by the Earth on Saturday, which some were kind of disappointed that it missed us, but overall it was a pretty good deal. It just pointed out how weird, though, the measuring system is on asteroids, because I read that it was an asteroid the size of a stadium. And then one said the Empire State Building. And it really just points out how bonkers that size system is. Like, who decided what stadium? There are wild variations there. So I'm glad that missed us. I can't imagine what would happen if the Houch slammed into Bowling Green. And then, on really random non sequitur news, I found out that they've been testing for the Loch Ness Monster in Scotland, because why not? It's been a weird enough year. But now they've determined that the Loch Ness Monster may actually just be a giant eel or several eels working together, which is honestly scarier. Honestly, the idea of an eel hive mind is way scarier than just one giant monster in a lake. So hopefully that all pans out. And not this year. Haven't we dealt with enough? But that does bring us to what you couldn't miss. Nope, camera the other way. Graphics backwards. I don't know how the meteorologists do it. But it does bring us back to what you couldn't miss. And of course, there have been Black Lives Matter rallies across the nation. Bowling Green is no exception. Had one on Friday. Very peaceful. Went off very well. Message was well received, hopefully. And except for one lone outstanding person, there has been pictures floating around of this one guy, white supremacist, just standing kind of at the side of Circus Square Park with his flag. I don't know what he's doing. It just makes you wonder, and I'm not going to show a picture of the guy. Honestly, the mental image you have in your head of a white supremacist fits the bill perfectly. They all look so similar. Makes it very easy to recognize. But it's just the fact that he showed up to a protest by himself. There were no other people there. It's just him and then the Black Lives Matter protesters, which is that it's a bad move to show up by yourself to a protest. Just don't show up if it's going to be just you. Like, here, let's take it to a really, really watered down example. Like, say, for some reason, brain damage related, you really liked the new Star Wars movie. And then all of your friends were like, I thought it was crap. And you're like, I don't know. I don't know if I should say this. I think I'm going to get, beat up in the group chat. Well, then imagine that is just being a terrible person, being a white supremacist. So just stay home, or better yet, just change. Reconsider. Take a long, hard look at your life. I think that might be in order. I think, if anything, that's really just sad. So, on such a sad note, let's move along because we have got very excited. Tyler Eaton is here from WKU's Beyond the Hill podcast. He's the voice of Warren East. He does Red Towel Radio on ESPN 102.7. He is a very talented man who has a custom AirPod case that he really wants to show us.
Directly from China.
Did you get that from DHgate?
I don't. My girlfriend got it for me, and it took like 3 months to get here because of the Rona.
Well, welcome to Wait What I Missed, Tyler Eaton. How are you?
I'm good, Cameron. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing fine here in the wonderland that is the studio. I wonder if anyone, because they always have those like the Twitter account that like judges like celebrities' home quality from their like e-interviews or whatever. So I wonder if anyone's like been noticing that the giant pile of stuff. The first week we did this show, I guess 4 weeks ago, there was a huge pile of crap that slowly has been like dwindled down and like given to Goodwill and that sort of thing. So I wonder if anyone's been keeping track, because I'm very proud of that, and I want someone to recognize, because that's the only hard work I've been doing over the last 4 weeks.
I mean, I would give the room like an 8. I think it looks pretty good.
Well,
I'd give mine a 2. There's nothing but a light.
It does.
Yours, high quality.
It does look like you're about to be asking Liam Neeson for help a little bit. It's the white wall, dude. We gotta get
I'm
you a
hoping
poster.
That's not the case, but
we got to get you a poster or something. Here we go.
I've got one for so long. I have a Dwight Schrute poster somewhere. I just haven't hung it up yet.
I don't want this poster anymore. Would you like this handsome Eagles poster from when they played Philadelphia? It is by
right there.
Local Artisans Print Mafia.
Yeah.
If you want it, it's yours, buddy. I will give this to you free of charge.
I don't have my Dwight Schrute poster up, but I can hold this bobblehead up. I have the Dwight Schrute bobblehead.
That is super nice.
You want me to just hold it here the whole time?
Do we want to share bobbleheads?
Or I can have him speak for me. Do you have a bobblehead?
Oh my gosh.
That you would like to share?
Just a second. Here we go.
Oh God. What have I done? I'll just show Dwight while Cam goes through this.
Okay, here we go. Here's bobblehead sharing time. I didn't realize this was going to be a thing, but I would like to share
Seems to be a routine.
2 bobbleheads here. This first one, Mr. Worldwide 305 Pitbull, I got when I went to go see the Miami Marlins play baseball. Yeah. Wait a second. Here we go. I got to hold this up to the mic because he says stuff. Listen to. You can't understand what he's saying, but it's just like real life, kind of like that. So
all you hear is the 305, and you know it's Pitbull.
Right. Yeah. And then this one, my girlfriend got for me last year for my birthday. It's me. I'm the bobblehead. It's Fallout Cameron.
Dwight can relate to that.
Yeah, it is kind of like that. But yeah, I also though
that one wins. That's so good.
I couldn't believe it. I've never had a gift ever like that. So that was 10 out of 10. That was a good birthday. But also going through my stuff, I found bobbleheads. I found a Gary Ransdale bobblehead and a Jeff Brom bobblehead, or as I called it, the Brobblehead. So
that was terrible.
The Brobblehead?
It's one of the worst.
Brobblehead is a great phrase
I've ever heard.
Purdue, since WKU did not use Brobblehead, I give Purdue University full rights to use the phrase Brobblehead for any and all future giveaways. As long as they
I mean,
credit
their name is the Boilermakers. You think they're going to use something like that?
Yes. Boilermaker is kind of a dumb name.
It's incredibly stupid.
I mean, honestly, it's kind of strange.
What does your team do? We make boils.
Yeah, I mean, in all fairness, let's say the Hilltoppers is also kind of an obvious name, but it's still better than Boilermaker. So yeah, Brobblehead.
Anything is better than Boilermakers.
Brobblehead is up for grabs to Jeff Brom if he ever does anything good enough up there to necessitate a bobblehead, which isn't really. It's not going too hot there, but
the standard isn't exactly high there.
Well, we won't talk about that, but we will talk about how Tops are kind of getting back in action. I know WKU football got back to the Hill today.
Yes. 2/3 back on campus. Full team, but 2/3 about back on campus, which makes me just feel good to see football players back on campus because it makes me feel like football's going to be back. Cameron, I think we're going to have football. I don't know if we're going to have fans. I don't know how many we're going to have, but I think we're going to have some football because if we don't, I don't think I can handle it. I don't think this country can handle it. We're falling apart without sports. We need them back. There are a myriad of issues. Sports wouldn't solve all of them, but we need sports back bad.
I mean, sports coming back would be a big thrill. I'm going to be honest. I super miss the hot rods right now. Typically,
gosh, yes.
I would be knee deep in hot dogs and hams right now.
I would be filling souvenir helmets with ice cream.
Yeah,
that is by far my favorite thing to have.
Why does no other sport use the souvenir helmet food route? I feel like that's a really solely baseball thing.
That would be
but
such a good seller at football games if you just took a football helmet and filled it with stuff.
Yeah.
In football, I feel like the concessions are a little different from baseball. You could just put a giant hot dog or something in there. And I know at football game they put all the random stuff on it, or like MLB.
Nachos are a universal.
Because at MLB stadiums, oh my God, imagine a nacho-filled helmet.
Yeah, I mean, baseball does this all the time. Baseball will put literally any food in a helmet. Yeah, and plus WKU has
a football helmet.
Oh, like a full-sized football helmet.
Yes, filled to the brim with nachos.
That's going to give someone some sort of heart difficulty, but
it would come with a disclaimer.
That is good. So, on that many shiny WKU chrome helmets, though, could be used to blind opponents, which I'm also for. So, but yeah, so they're at 2/3. At 2/3, how do they determine who the 2/3 that come on campus are? Is it like, do they flip a coin? Are they like special teams? We'll just get to you eventually. Like, what do they do?
Rationally, that makes sense. You would say, okay, like kickers, punters, you guys can keep kicking from home. Like, you don't have to be in a football stadium to kick a ball. Although I'm sure the neighbors don't really like it, but I would assume that there is like some strategic plan, and maybe freshmen come in later too, or maybe you want to get them in first and the seniors come back later. I don't know exactly how they come up with it, but I'm sure that there is actually a rhyme or reason beyond our flip the coin method. I would at least hope.
Yeah.
Although if they are doing that, I also applaud that.
I mean, that is democracy in action, I suppose, to a certain extent.
Everyone would have an equal shot of coming back early or late.
That is.
I think that's so you just flip a coin until you've got however many guys.
Terrible way to win a franchise. I feel like that's something I would do in that NFL coach game that came out once and then they never released again because they're like, oh, wait a second, this is boring.
And that and then in every football game you can just coach anyway.
Yeah. So you really do think that football is coming back this fall?
Yes, I do. I'm very, very, very confident in that. I don't know if I'm like confident in it because I think it's going to happen, but more so I know that for places, especially like Western, like it's almost gonna happen. Because if it does happen, and even if it happens without fans, it's gonna hurt. But if there's no football at all, sports are gonna go. Sports are gonna have to be cut, and it's an unfortunate reality, but that's what's gonna happen. So I think we're gonna find a way to get it back. I don't know with fans or not. I think logistically figuring out once back who's there, who's not. I think you can start to pave a way to figure that out. But I think it's going to be back. Um, just because Western needs it. Every small school needs football back because that drives the bus. You don't have football, you can't really pay for anything. And a lot of it comes from the gate. But even just having the revenue of having the football on TV, the radio broadcast, those would be more popular than ever before if fans can't attend. We would see a sports radio boom of sorts if fans are not allowed to attend. Either way, the money is going to have to be there. And the only way it's going to come is with football. So I think it almost has to come back, which makes me think it's going to come back.
So you're thinking ahead because you're going to get on those broadcasts with Randy there. So
well, part of me looks forward to that, but at the same time, I know football is like it's just not the same without fans. It would not. Basketball, logistically, you could have done it. Football, I don't know how it would feel without fans. And we're probably going to find out. It's going to be weird. It's going to be extremely weird. I just hope at the very least that they let the band in. Because if you got that thing going with no band, oh my God, it's just whistles and the crushing hits, which would be kind of cool in that sense because we get to hear all the hits and everything. Or we mic up the players. That's the only other option.
Well, the good news is
mic up the players. I'm cool.
Yeah, some schools have already been social distancing at games, like MTSU fans. So they've been social distancing
somebody asked me
for
about
years.
the MLB. And it blows my mind that the MLB was not able to figure this out because literally half of their stadiums have been practicing responsible social distancing for who knows how long. I mean, these things can fit thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people. And if you go to a Marlins game, there might be 200 people.
Oh yeah,
when
I got my friend Pitbull here, I was sitting.
Yes.
I was sitting on kind of the outfield side. They had this club area. It was the Clevelander. It's a real club, like hotel. It's actually where Dan Le Batard does his show. And they have their own like VIP section. And there's like a pool on like the field and stuff like that. And there's like girls bringing drinks and everything. It's some real Miami nonsense going down there. But the thing is, you're facing the outfield wall is like a glass panel. And I was just looking up. And I could literally count the people in the upper deck on two hands. It was a Sunday afternoon game. And I couldn't believe that no one wanted a piece of this sweet action right here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and the thing is, a place like that, or a place like, MTSU, you could say first, or you could just sell 5,000 tickets. And MTSU might get 3,000 a given day.
Maybe it'll raise the
if
number.
you just say, yeah, I mean, that's true. You could say we're only giving away 5,000. And if MTSU actually hit 5,000 every game, that'd be pretty impressive. We know that
could be a boon for some schools there. But so yeah, okay. So I think that collegiate level football will come back. But you're also the voice for Warren East. What do you think about the high school sports season?
It's an interesting one because to me, and this is one thing that I've talked to several people about as well, if school comes back and they're in school in person, they're in-person classes, whether it's a full return to school, just some kind of return where the kids are in the physical school, I feel like the high school sports come back. I feel like that's the domino that has to fall for that to happen. And high school football is going to come back. I think they're going to play, and it could be a situation like college football. But I feel like for high school football, it might be more important to have those fans because a lot of those fans are your parents and your boosters, and the ticket gate really runs things for a lot of high schools. So I think if we have students in the building, which, if we want to relate it to college, Caboni has said at Western, look, we're going to have students on campus. We're going to have classes perhaps on campus, but we're going to have students on campus. If that domino falls at the high school level, I feel like sports will go as well.
So you just think it's all for one on there?
Yes. Yeah. I don't really see a situation in which either, high school or college, I don't see a situation in which one of those gets to play and the other one doesn't. Because we all knew once college sports stopped that high school sports were going to stop.
Yeah.
I just don't see a scenario in which one of those goes on without the other. And the same way goes for pro sports. Like the NBA started all of this. So if pro football's back, you can green light college football, green light high school football, so on and so forth.
So it may look a little bit different, but I think it's safe to say we'll have that back in some way. So if anything, I mean, that could be better for local broadcasters.
Yeah, that's, I mentioned it, but I mean, if there are no fans, then you're gonna see a boom with that. A lot of places are, the Facebook Live broadcasts going on, online streaming. That is going to have a huge explosion for games. But I still want to see the fans because, like I said, it's not the same without the fans in attendance. And I know it'd be really weird for the players to try to play without the fans, and especially at the high school level. I'm hoping we get a full return, but I will literally anything. I am so sick of playing video games and trying to simulate stuff myself because I'm not good. So I need to see the real thing. I need the real players that can actually do this stuff to do it for me. And then I just want to talk about what happens. I don't want to have to do it myself. That's why I talk about it. If I could do it myself, I would.
That is true. Of course, you have actually been kind of simulating, and I just wrapped up your NCAA March Madness streaming for the Toppers.
Yeah, it did not end as I wanted it to. I was able to beat Kansas with Western. I was able to beat Kentucky on a last-second shot from Tay Hollingsworth. And then I ran into Arizona, and I fouled two of my players out and lost in overtime. It was bad. Oh my gosh. And then I was going to save the championship for the next episode, but I was so frustrated. I said, screw it. We're just going to keep this going. And Creighton won the national title.
Creighton.
If you want to know what was going to happen in March Madness, Creighton was going to win the title.
Darn, that's Creighton, who I had all Nebraska. Of my money on.
Yeah, I mean, if I was going to make a bracket, I 100% was going with Creighton winning the national title.
Yeah, I made the bet months ago. I put it in writing there. So that's a very disappointing.
Send them the VOD and get your money back.
Yeah, I'm going to go down to the casinos now that they're open again. But of course, also though,
crazy.
Yeah, to keep yourself occupied, I suppose, here and entertain us all throughout this. You've also been doing a podcast for WKU, which is pretty awesome. I've been listening to that, and that's a pretty awesome in-depth dive with some of the biggest stars.
Yeah, that has been an amazing opportunity that I got from Western, the Beyond the Hill podcast. That was a project they had in mind to perhaps start over the summer. But once this all started, they just like all of us knew they were going to have to find different ways to put out content, just like you're doing with this. So as soon as all this started, they were like, look, we want to get this going and we would like you to be the host of it. And since that started, I've got to talk to guys like, Court Lee, George Fant, some of the greatest athletes ever to walk through Western. And it's just been awesome. Not just those guys, but then some of the current athletes as well that normally you just don't get to hear from, and you don't get to hear their stories. You don't get to hear their perspectives, getting to talk to them as well. And then like the latest episode that just came out today, the behind the scenes stuff that goes into bringing the athletes back onto campus, what the plan is, how they're implementing everything safely, how they're looking to do things moving forward, just getting details like that before this, we really didn't find out. We just got a press release. We knew what we knew and we moved on. So to have this has been really awesome. And it's been a great opportunity. And I'm really looking forward to getting everything back to normalcy, getting to do these interviews in person, package some video with them, because that creative team, man, with Logan and everything they've got going on, they are so good. And they have been absolutely killer since this all started, especially with the Big Red stuff. That if I didn't have the Big Red mascot voting controversy and everything that came with that, I would not have made it through all this. That itself pretty much saved me, and it gave us all our sports fix. I needed that.
I still hate the entire state of Utah thanks to that. So, but yeah, we're not gonna go because I get too angry about that. My blood pressure gets really high, and we don't need that on the program.
Well, I mean, we know it was rigged. We know.
Oh yeah, no, we know. Yeah, let's just not go into it. I'm gonna get angry, and no one wants that. So, but yeah, it's been a fantastic kind of deep dive into some of the biggest Hilltopper moments and figures here the last decade, and it's just been a lot of fun. Done a really good job on it. So, looking forward to more episodes of that. And where can you pick up that podcast?
Yeah, you can go to wkusports.com/podcast, or whatever podcast app or music app you've got on your phone, whether it be Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever you use, it's on there as well. You can just search the Beyond the Hill podcast or the Hilltopper Sports Podcast Network. Any of those, you can find it there. The easiest way, just go to wkusports.com/podcast. Every episode lined up there conveniently. If you just want the clips, you can go to the WKU Sports Twitter. They load about 40 second to a minute long clips on there, so you can listen to those as well. You can find the content anywhere. Like you said, it's been a deep dive beyond the scenes, and I appreciate the kind words. I take any compliment I can get from the Cameron Coates Radio, straight to the heart. But no, it's been a blast. I'm looking forward to keeping it going.
That's right. I've been digging it, and looking forward to all the future ones, and looking forward to, of course, in the fall, I'll be back for War in East. Can listen to that, ESPN 102.7 here in Bowling Green, ESPN Radio KY. Is that the full web? Is it bad that I don't remember our sports station?
Should just be ESPN Radio 1027.com. I've been saying that on broadcast for 4 months. So if that is wrong, then I apologize.
The good news is
anyone who's ever followed my advice.
Yeah, I'll just put it in the graphic, and we'll just pretend that I knew exactly what it was. It is right in the graphic. I can assure you of that. So yeah, that's the magic of visual media. So
yes,
yeah. So not typically
make us look and sound better.
Well, I could at least sound better, but yeah, I can hide the rest.
Look better.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good look right there. Well, Tyler, I guess we're about up, but I will say, what was the last movie you watched here in still quarantine? We're still quarantined.
The last movie watched? Oh my God. Well, I went back and watched one of my personal favorites, which anyone asks me what my favorite movie is, I always say it's Daddy's Home 2. So I just rewatched that just to refresh on the reasoning I use beyond that.
Uh-huh.
Really, the reasoning is just that it's got Will Ferrell and John Cena. And I really don't see a way in which you're going to beat that combination.
Something like that, yeah. All right, Daddy's Home 2. Rated and 5 stars for me.
Oh, it's a 10-star.
10 out of 5 stars. Out of 5. All right, that's improbable.
But I do want to see the new Pete Davidson movie really bad. It's ready to go. Yes.
So now is as good a time as any to say so long. But yeah, and you can check out Tyler and the Beyond the Hill podcast and all sorts of stuff coming. You can check out Dwight Schrute on Netflix there. So thank you so much for stopping.
My Kobe AirPods too.
That's right, Kobe AirPods coming to a Chinese knockoff online store.
It's exactly where I got them.
That's right. That's what we're about here. If I can get a sponsorship from some sort of DH Gate or something like that in Alibaba, I will.
That's really the ultimate goal.
I think that's all I want. I'll just have it on the T-shirt. And you can check out Tyler right here, Beyond the Hill podcast. Definitely worth listening to, and also worth listening to and watching. It's time for Cam's Clip of the Week.
Story time. I'm a vet tech, and one time I was rooming this lady for an appointment with her little dog who was covered in bugs. I searched this dog high and low for bugs, couldn't find a single one. So I said, "Ma'am, can you please point out these bugs to me?" She said, "Oh my gosh, can't you see them? They're right on his belly." She showed me her dog's nipples and proceeded to try to rip them off. I said, "Ma'am, no, stop. Those are his nipples." She said, "There's no way, he's a boy." I said, "Ma'am, that doesn't mean he doesn't have nipples. Those are definitely his nipples. Notice how they're so symmetrical." She said, "No, there's no way he's a boy." I said, "Ma'am, doesn't your husband have nipples?"
Listen, I did really bad in high school biology, but I didn't do that bad, which is good. Didn't need to auto-tune me at all. But that does wrap up the week. Well, at least for Wait What I Miss. Thanks to Tyler Eaton for stopping by from WKU's Beyond the Hill podcast. You can check that out on all podcasting platforms. And hope you have a fantastic week. But until next week, I hope you don't miss much. But if you do miss something, I hope it's me.